Welcome back, everybody. Take a break for Stephen Shamus.
Good to see you, my friend. How are you today?
Wonderful. We did not coordinate the double gray solid shirts. We just it's just great minds think alike, I guess, when we were dressing ourselves.
It's 90 degrees outside, so it's
Yeah.
Lululemon. It's Lululemon all the way.
Yeah,
although I
just
lost my
nice Hanes thin shirt.
Although I lost my Lululemon long sleeve shirt in California when I went out to breakfast during the Lizzie Olsen signing. So
R.I.P. That shirt.
Sad. All right, Alex, what do we got today?
Yeah, we got some fun stuff. We always have fun stuff, but I mean, this is gonna be some more fun stuff, if you will. We're gonna touch on stray dogs.
There you go. You're okay. See? I'm Rusty. What's your name?
I don't... Sophie.
Wait. Do I know you from somewhere?
I don't... remember. I remember. Something happened.
Which is one of the biggest side hits of this year. We're going to talk a little nerdy D&D Critical Role.
The adventure begins. They will always beside you, your nerdy best friends, and the DM to guide you. And they rise from the flames for the battles ahead. Villains beware, 'cause you're about to be dead. They got magic and flair. They got daggers and cunning. They don't see over there. There's a monster incoming.
And this guy named Jim Lee did some Wolverine comics. I guess we can talk about him. I don't know who he is, but
yeah, it's funny. You're starting to see the vintage Spawn stuff, the vintage McFarlane covers, the vintage Jim Lee stuff that is unrelated to the content of the books. Like Batman 423 and Spidey 316 and all these books that have these amazing covers on them that are vintage are all of a sudden been absolutely going berserk. Captain America 241, the Wolverine Captain America cover, that annual number 8.
Yeah.
All that stuff has been on fire lately, and that's been extended to the Jim Lee Wolverine stuff. So, all right, Alex, so what are we going to start with today?
Speaking of covers, let's talk about Stray Dogs, because that's a cover book right there.
Yeah, so this book has been on fire. It wasn't a title I heard about. It wasn't a title I've been paying that close attention to. It's a Tony Fleecs story with Tris Forstner art and Tony Fleecs art as well in some of them. And one thing that they've really done extraordinarily well is they keep doing these homage horror covers. We're only going to talk about issue number 1 today. Issue number 2 and 3 also have some great vintage covers. But as they get graded, they're too recent to have graded. So we'll attack issues number 2 and 3 at a later show, maybe next show or the show after. But these are some really, really interesting covers that they've done. It's really caught fire. Talk about the series, Alex. Why is this series so hot?
I love the tagline where it says it's 7 meets 101 Dalmatians, or 7 meets Lady and the Tramp. Which is hilarious to think of those two completely opposite ideas melding into one. It's a book about dogs. The interior art is very clean, very Disney-like, very much like something out of a Disney movie. But it's about, some dogs that one dog wakes up one day in a house with other dogs, can't remember how they got there. There might have been some murders going on. The new owner might be a murderer. So it's kind of a murder mystery. It's adult. I mean, it looks like a kid's book, but it is definitely an adult book. And this is one of those things. Tony Fleecs has been around for a while, done a lot of independent stuff. I think this is his big image break, and I think it's one of his biggest writing breaks. So kudos to him. Tony's a good guy. I've met him a couple times. So it came out of nowhere, and now people are just scooping them up every single print.
How did it come out of nowhere like that?
You know what? When you have a good pitch and you have good art and you can go to Image and go, hey, we already have this thing and we can have, we have all the issues done already. They'll do it. If it sounds good to them, Image will put it out, and he just killed it. Killed it with his pitch.
Like I have a book about a boy with deer horns.
Yeah, exactly.
Great show, by the way. Great show. Okay. Stray Dogs exclusive preview from February 2020. This was basically a freebie giveaway, Alex.
Yeah.
It's a freebie giveaway.
My favorite
And
kind.
I don't know what happened to these books. There's only 2 blue label 9/8, 0 gold labels. Tony Fleek story, Tris Forstner art. These books are $750 to $1,000 raw, Alex. Can you get one or no?
No, I've been in this. I've been helping a buddy out at his store, and I've never seen these books.
Did Midtown have some copies? Or
I'm
no?
sure Midtown has everything.
That book is crazy.
Yeah,
They freebie handed.
I know. I know.
Alex, it's crazy.
I love freebie books. I always stash some to the side. But
By the way, a lot of them still have like the original coupon. Like it
Yeah.
almost looked like somebody Xeroxed
Yep.
something with like a little coupon that said, hey, there's a free preview. Enjoy the book.
Yeah.
How funny is that, Alex? Right?
crazy, and now they're tons of money. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Then Stray Dogs #1 came out February of 2021. So about a year later.
Yeah.
That might be why a lot of them got destroyed, because you do the preview book, maybe 3 or 4 months later, the book comes out, you still have the preview. If people haven't seen the book in the year, they're probably like, oh, what's this pamphlet?
There's so
Garbage.
much free stuff that comes out weekly from
know.
comic shops that you can't know what to keep. You might keep a comic shop news for 20 years and nothing, you throw it away one day, and then the next day it's like, oh, that was the first sketch of Spider-Man's new costume, and then now it's worth money.
Yeah, crazy. So 30 blue label 9.8s, 0 gold label 9.8s. It's a Staniak cover. It's a $350 book.
Ooh.
Okay. Then there's the Tony Fleek's acetate edition.
Love those books.
3 blue label 9.8, 0 gold label 9.8, $150 raw. It's a very cool cover. Then you get into the homage covers that everybody
this
likes.
is the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have the Trish Forstner, the Silent of the Lambs variant cover. It's a pretty neat cover, by the way.
It's awesome.
Great
Yeah.
cover. 39 blue label, 0 gold label 9/8. That's about a $675 book. $75 raw.
Yeah, and again, no signature series because no cons.
I know. There's a blank sketch cover, double zeros on the grading. That's $125 raw, just for the blank sketch cover.
Wow, that's a big one.
Then
first
there's
place.
then Brain Dead Comics and Hive Comics
Mhm.
did a limited edition of 500 with a Staniak Blair Witch Project variant cover.
Yep.
7 blue label, 0 gold label 9/8. It's about $1,000 9/8, $500 raw. Then Tony Fleeks did a Brainy Comics collected comics and games. Do you know those retailers, Alex? Or no?
I heard of them, but I don't know where they're from. I do remember
Okay,
seeing
they did
this
a
on the
poll-
internet.
They did a Poltergeist variant cover, 1 blue label, 0 gold label 9/8. That's about a $300 raw book, limited to 500. Then the other limited to 500 was Collector's Paradise.
Mhm.
That is it's a photo. They call it a photo cover. It's really like a flyer. It's like Lost Dog
Yeah.
cover. It's pretty cool. They did
Yeah.
a whole. By the way, they did a whole series of them for all the issues.
Yeah.
The Lost Dog flyers. It's like it's almost like when somebody loses their dog, they put the little flyer up on the tree and you pull the little tab down.
Yep.
So yeah, so
Those are
they
awesome.
did one of those, and it's a pretty cool cover.
Yeah. Collector's Paradise is smart. It's a California store. They're good.
Yeah, 1 blue label 9/8, 0 gold label 9/8. They still have those books available. So
Oh,
those
nice.
are $25 raw. I don't know why they still have them available, but that's unlimited to 500.
Yeah.
Then the second print, 1 blue label, 0 gold label 9/8. That's about a $200 raw book. Can't find the second prints. And then the third print, there's no pop on it. It's about a $15 raw book. So these books, Alex, are really, really expensive.
And a fourth printing, I believe, just came out this week, and it's the John Carpenter's Thing poster. That one's awesome too. And again, stores aren't ordering lots of these later printings because all their customers already have them. So
yeah,
get them
for sure. Okay, so that takes care of that. Issues 2 and 3 we're going to address at another time.
Yeah,
we're going to come back to
still
this.
fresh.
Okay. Yeah. All right, what do we got up next, Alex?
Yeah, let's talk about this Jim Lee character in his Wolverine covers.
Yeah, so I've been following this closely because what people may or may not realize is these books had massive print runs. These are not low print books. So when you're talking about Punisher War Journal 6 or 7, they were probably over 1 million copies a book.
Yeah, totally.
You know, one thing they just interviewed Lon Rosen from Heritage, and I've been seeing him say is, when you look at sports cards and people find old sports cards in packs, the relative scarcity of the high grades versus the population is not as distant as the comic books. So you could have 315 or 320 Michael Jordan rookies, and they might grade 1 a quarter or 1 a year into 10, but there's still 300 of them. So the Ghost Rider the Ghost Rider 9/8 that just sold for $250,000, the Marvel Spotlight, you say, oh my God, how could that? Well, there's only 5 of them.
Yeah.
And the likelihood of over the last 25 years of people sending in books they get graded, the likelihood of more 9/8s popping out is very, very unlikely.
Very unlikely. Yeah.
So-
no one's finding
so
a
there's
case of those.
Right. So it's a pop 5.
Yeah.
So what's happening with some of these old books is that, you know, people forget that Jim Lee War Journal book is almost a 30-year-old book now.
Sure.
And even though they printed 1 million copies, the likelihood of all these 9/8s coming out, they've been circulated and cycled and cycled and circulated.
These are constantly either $5 books for some stores or $1 or 50-cent books, depending on how many copies they have. Constantly.
Right. And what we've even noticed is that like a Batman 436, which might be a $6 or $7 book raw, is a $500 book in 9/8.
Right.
You're starting to see these very large gaps on these pop books.
Yeah.
That's what's happening with a lot of the vintage books with these very, very cool covers.
Mhm.
So the ones in particular, there's 4 of them that I wanted to talk about because they're Jim Lee, Wolverine, X-Men related. And that's really, and it's funny because the pops on these, the pop on the raw books are crazy.
Yeah.
Like X-Men 1, but the prices are rising, and Jim Lee is doing another signing with CGC, and everyone's looking for these books to get signature series.
Yep. Crack them and sign them.
So Punisher War Journal number 6, June of 1989. There's 357 blue label and 54 gold label 9/8s. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
They printed over 1 million copies of these books,
Yep.
357 blue labels. I mean, that's not a lot, Alex.
Less
So
than
they're
1%.
starting to, right, and they're starting to blow up. Wolverine appearance, Carl Potts story and art, Jim Lee cover and art. It's that Wolverine cover is classic. He's got the claws. He's shredding the Punisher uniform. That's about a $350 book today, Alex. I never thought I'd see the day. That book is tripled in the last year, quadrupled in the last year.
Yep.
Okay. Punisher War Journal number 7 came out a month later. 249 blue label 9/8s, 31 gold label 9/8s. That's the red and white
So
cover.
tiny.
Again, that's the fight scene cover. That's a $275 book today, Alex.
Yeah.
My eyes popped out of my head. I mean, there are so many copies of that book out there.
Right.
But the pops are low, relatively speaking, as a percentage of the whole. So there's just not that many of them out there. The next one, which has been going absolutely crazy, is Wolverine number 27, July of 1990. They printed 1 million, at least 1 million copies.
A lot. Yes.
At least.
Yes.
It's a
that was a
30-year-old
popular title.
It's a 30-year-old book already. Out.
Yeah.
156 blue label 9/8s, 43 gold label 9/8s.
That's small.
There's got to be cases of those somewhere. So you got Karma and Jessica Drew appearance, Mary Jo Duffy story, John Buscema and Dan Green art with a Jim Lee cover, 156 blue label 9/8s, 43 gold label 9/8s, $375 in 9/8. A 9/6 is $150, and those are plentiful. You can get those 9/6 all day. This one's going to make you laugh. They printed 5 million copies of X-Men number 1.
Biggest comic of all time, right?
Right. Yeah. X-Men number 1, October of 1998. Now, again, this combines all 5 covers.
Yep.
3,467 9/8s blue, 1,069 9/8
so
gold.
much.
Now, but if you divide it by 5, it's
Yeah.
only about 700 per issue.
Yeah.
It's only 700
million.
per issue.
5 million books. Yeah.
It's a very low pop. Those are about $150 right now. There's actually 11.99 blue labels, no gold labels. I'm sorry, there's 4 covers, and then the 5th one is the gatefold. So 4 divided by 3,400, Alex, is only about 850 per.
Yeah.
And of course, it's got the Jim Lee cover. This is an Australian price variant, which is very, very hard to find, which you should be looking for. And then obviously the 5th cover is a special collected edition gatefold. I found a few of those. I sent them in for the Jim Lee signing.
Oh, nice.
1,685 blue label 9/8s, 715 gold label 9/8s. There's 24 blue label 9/9s with 0 gold label 9/9s. That's about $125 book today. So again, and I tell you something, I've seen Gold Label selling for 300 on those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
can
that
see
book was in the dollar bin forever.
Still is, I'm sure. Someplace, again, $5 depending on how much you have, or
I
$1
know.
if you have a ton.
I know. All right, Alex. Alex's pick of the week. What do you got for us?
Vintage clothing. Vintage 90s. Do you remember in the 90s where you would open up Marvel Comics and there'd be a whole fresh, I'm sure the ads were in the Wizards, but it was like, oh, Marvel t-shirts, Venom, big white t-shirt with big Venom sprayed across it. Everybody wanted one. They were $30 in 1992 and nobody wanted to spend the money for them. Those are now $200, $300 t-shirts.
Wow, you're kidding me.
They are because they were only mail order. You couldn't go to a store and get them, and you had to keep them. I mean, that's 30-year-old t-shirt in good shape. Who's not wearing it? Who's putting it in a box? Not many people. There's also the like vintage Marvel hats, like the snapbacks that used to have like, it would be like Cyclops' head on the front, and then like a big orange hat. Those are like $100, $200. Like everything we've talked about this, everything right now is really exploding. And when people look at like vintage comic book stuff, I mean, it's a niche market to begin with. To keep a shirt 30 years ago, a Venom t-shirt from 30 years ago, to keep that in good shape where you could wear it these days is rough. It's hard.
Yeah, I will tell you that even the vintage VHS tapes, which we have to touch on, they've been going crazy.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Okay. All right. What do we got last, Alex?
Let's roll our D4 for a Critical Role comic book.
Yeah, these books are starting to pick up. You'll have to explain to me what's going on here with the Geek and Sundry connection and the Critical Role connections and Dungeons and Dragons. Not really normally my area of expertise. What is going on with this Critical Role, and why these Dungeons and Dragons books, and why are these books starting to move up, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, Critical Role is probably the most famous Dungeons and Dragons thing other than Dungeons and Dragons. It's a group of voice actors who do, I think it's a weekly show, and they just do Dungeons and Dragons, and they film it on Twitch and they put it on YouTube, and you can watch it live or you can watch it later. It got very, very popular. I mean, it's just a saga. You're tuning in to watch what happens to these characters, and it's all nothing's. With Dungeons and Dragons, the only person that knows what's happening is a dungeon master. Everybody else doesn't know. They're being told what's going on. So you're like, oh, I want to open this door. And the dungeon master says, okay, open the door. You open the door, and he's like, okay, now there's a dragon. You'll have to fight, and have, your people have to like react and start doing stuff really fast. It's a very interesting thing to watch, because it's like live TV, but very much fantasy. And the actors on Critical Role are great. They really mesh together. It's really good. Super big fan base. You wouldn't know it, but New York Comic-Con San Diego, these Critical Role panels are like the Batman TV show panels that everybody waits out for. Critical Role is just as much up there. Super popular.
Yeah, I did notice at C2E2 last year when they announced the autographs, they sold out in 30 seconds. Yeah. They sold out really right away. That wasn't a very good snap, by the way. I'm better with the right hand.
I'll add a snap later, a louder snap, so it looks good.
It looks good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Dungeons and Dragons #1, April of 2016, Geek and Sundry Critical Role, 1 blue label, 1 gold label, 9.8. Those are about $40 raw today. Story Shadows of the Vampire, Jim Zub and Bart Carroll stories, Nelson Daniel and David Baldi on art, Tess Fowler cover. Then here's the big one. Emerald City Comic-Con had a Critical Role #1, February of 2018. Matthew Colville and Matthew Mercer story, Olivia Sampson art, Deborah Halber cover. That book has 41 blue label 9.8s, 2 gold label 9.8s. That's about an $850 book, Alex. That is crazy. Alex, you missed out on all the Emerald City exclusives.
I know. I was just going to say,
you seem to talk about those a lot.
I was there for at least 3 years in a row.
You went to the show and you picked up none of the hot books.
Zero.
That was probably like a $5 book at the show, by the way.
I think, and we've been seeing this, San Diego Comic-Con, Emerald City Comic-Con, those exclusive covers tend to go for more money. New York Comic-Con covers don't seem to go that much in retrospect.
I don't know. All right,
more.
So series 2 was Critical Role Vox Machina Origins #1. July of 2019. 4 Blue Label 9/8, 0 Gold Label 9/8. That's only a $5 book today. Looks to be a cheapo.
Yep.
Matthew Mercer and Jody Hauser's story with Olivia Sampson art. Then there's the Babs Tarr San Diego Comic-Con Convention Edition. 7 Blue Label 9/8, 1 Gold Label 9/8. That's about a $200 book in 9/8. That's a $40 raw book. Then there's a Jetpack Forbidden Planet Edition by Fiona Staples. 4 Blue Label 9/8, 0 Gold Label 9/8. That's about a $25 raw book that was limited to 1,500. And then Series 3, Critical Role Vox Machina Origins #1, February of 2021. 4 Blue Label 9/8, 0 Gold Label 9/8. That's about a $5 raw book. Matthew Mercer and Jody Hauser story, Olivia Sampson art, and Mintu Heinonen cover. So really, it's the Babs San Diego book. That's Emerald the big City one, the Emerald City ones, and then the original Geek and Sundry ones from April 2016. Those seem to be the big ones. They're moving up quickly. I mean, these books are escalating. You follow the trends on these books. Yeah. These books were half and a quarter of the price 6 months ago, 9 months ago, Alex.
Definitely.
All right. We hope you enjoyed the show today. Leave all your questions and comments in the comments field. We appreciate you being with us today. Thank you very much. We will see you guys next week. Same bad time.
Same bad channel. Thanks, guys.